Cool. Then how the flow is going to look like is in the next 3-4 minutes, I will give it to you to write down your questions in the chat box. So just go through your session notes, go through everything you had in mind before OP Summit, during OP Summit. And when you have your questions ready, start posting them in the chat box. Cool? All right. Should I play some music? I will play like half a song, then we can start. Nee, you can play the song.
No. You can. It's fine.
It's okay. You can go.
I can. I can.
어딜 쳐다보는 거냐고 솔직히 너 그래 너 생판 처음 만난 너 왜 널 쳐다보는 거냐고 궁금해서 설레서 낯설어서 침착하게 서로 살살 안아볼겠나 오빠 차 핸들 살살 돌려볼겠나 모르는 게 약이야 객관식은 첫눈에 찍는 게 답이야 뜨거운 파이어 너의 맘 나의 맘 사람 새로운 사람 너무 설레어서 어지러워요 만남 새로운 만남 너무 설레어서 미치겠어요 낯선 여자애야 낯선 향기애야 Yes I want some new face 낯선 여자애야 낯선 향기애야 Yes I want some new face Your face your face your face your face your face your face 원래 이런 사람이냐고 아니 올시다 이거 봐봐 눈을 맞춰야 눈이 맞아 지금 작업하는 거냐고 솔직히 yes 그래 yes oh yes 궁합이 뜨든지 살살 맞춰볼까나 말하지 않아도 알아 맞춰볼까나 알면 병이야 어서 나를 따 너의 맥주병이야 니네 뽕이야 너의 맘 나의 맘 사람 새로운 사람 너무 설레어서 어지러워요 만남 새로운 만남 너무 설레어서 미치겠어요 낯선 여자애야 낯선 향기애야 Yes I want some new face 낯선 여자애야 낯선 향기애야 Yes I want some new face Your face your face your face your face your face your face Hey we want some new face Hey we want some new face
Oh, I stopped sharing.
All right, cool. Then we can start. Cool. We already have one question, but start posting your questions and we can go through. So the first question is, I'm wondering if GT will be focused for AI 2021 term only or until 2025. So right now we don't know. The only thing we know is that in this year, in this context, GT needs to be our focus priority. But when it comes to the upcoming years, you can count on the fact that it's not going to be deprioritized. But there can be other things also which will be in equal importance. Right now, GTC appears to be the only like top priority because of the lack of resources also. The amount of regional managers, the amount of AI members who will stay, it mainly made us take a decision about focusing on only one and not 3 of the programs. So when it comes to what's going to happen after AI 2021 term, I think when the roadmap projects are launched in IPM 2021, you will have better understanding about how the focus for other programs will look like. But even if there will be other programs, even if GV again becomes our #1 priority after 2021, GT will not be deprioritized, never. Like, especially after this point, when we all understand how important it is for our organization to sustain and survive, it will still be one of the priorities always. All right. I'm going to the second question. I was also planning on maybe seeing how I can restart IGB in my entity, as it's been closed for the last 3 years in Pakistan, considering how IGT is now, the focus and IG is already having sustainability issues. Would you suggest I drop the idea of IGV for now and focus more on IGT? What I can recommend you is tomorrow, if I'm not wrong, there is a session for conditions of running GV. So you can ask your MCP to definitely attend that session, because I think at the same time you will be attending IGT track. So you can ask your MCP to attend that track and understand what are the things you will need to do to run GV in a proper setting, because it's also not only about being sustainable at this moment. There are a lot of travel restrictions. You don't know if host family will be a good idea or not. You don't know if your OGV partners will still be able to send the EPs, because the moment you also charge the EPs, it's now double payment, and a lot of young people are trying to save money. So there will be some multiple things that you will need to check. What I will recommend you is, because you're also ICX, in your first semester, try not to put it as a priority of running in high levels. But your MCP can see and check, like, what are the things that you guys already did, you guys already can do, and what are the extra resources that you will need to do. So if at the end of session, or when you understand what are the things that needs to be done for IGV, if it's not too much, if it's like a couple of weeks work that you can do an MC, then of course you can start doing some establishment strategies of IGV, how to make it more sustainable. You can ask LCs to only sell it in a sustainable way, which can happen, but really check how much time would this actually take from you, and how much benefit actually it would bring to the entity. Because this 6 months, your first 6 months, is super important, because almost all the entities are having financial troubles. So we will need to put our energy to, first, how do we sustain our entities, and then how do we make sure that all of our operations are sustainable. So it's a decision that you will need to make at the end. But I think if your MCP goes through that session, or later if you check the output, there's like very clear things like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that you need to take into consideration if you want to run GV. And then you can see if you already qualify them, or if you need to work too much after that. Cool. Good. OGT from Indonesia. If I can ask, how's the progress for virtual internships going? What should we prepare for that, or when is the expected decision will be made? So when it comes to remote internships, as you remember, when Ali first opened the pilot research, it was about first validating which idea we're going to go ahead with. Because when it comes to calling something remote, there are multiple options. Because those multiple options are affecting the legal side of the way we run the program, or the way financial model works. So in that research, the reason why we said, hey, we're gonna test remote feature and not fully remote, was because of the financial setbacks. So the initial fastest idea was looking at the remote feature, and right now it's being tested. Yesterday was the deadline for IGTs to submit their opportunities and legal qualifications that they made. So Ali right now is still processing them. The stage is that hopefully by the end of July, we will know the testing result of this program. We will know if the opportunities got applications. We will know if like partners were happy at the end. So then the idea is, if we prove that remote feature works under certain IGT conditions, then this can be a global strategy after IC. But again, keep in mind that it's not going to be an easy product, because IGTs will really need to check a couple of things before having even the opens. They will need to do some extra things from approval till remote until realization. So it's going to be kind of conditional protocol. But we will only know if this is going to be something global or not in July after IC. And the second thing is that, as you know, in AI 2020 team, I will be staying as product innovation. And my entire role is to actually will be to discover more of these ideas. So fully remote internships, like full duration remote, might be one of the projects that we take into account. But keep in mind that when we say fully remote, it's not that we do usual things and we just let people work from home. If we go ahead with this idea, a lot of things will be very different for the program, from a financial model till developer position, the customer flow, everything would be different. So I would not promise anything, because this idea is also in kind of confirmation process now. We are checking if there are any like competitors that are doing this, if it's already a viable product, would it really financially help us? So if the idea is valid enough, then in IC, when we have our functional track, I will be telling you about which ideas we will have, and all of them will be pilot projects. And I will explain you what are the things that you will need to do to apply for the pilot. So basically for IC, you can expect me coming there and explaining you which pilot projects will be there, so you can apply. You can go through MC post planning, you can discuss about them, and then you can apply, and we can see what we can do. But yeah, remote is just one of the options, by the way. You can expect also other pilot projects which will help us go through this travel restrictions. Cool. So July is when we expect the report of remote feature and also other possible pilot projects. Amazing. So majority of our target audience are college students, and they can go for 6-8 weeks projects max. However, in the current context, going for short-term projects as soon as pandemic is over will not be as feasible as going for a long-term one. How do we tackle this issue? The first thing I can check is, which direction do you want to go? Do you want to play extremely safe where you keep targeting the same audience, or do you want to test more? Because as you also mentioned that for this fish peak, it's going to be very hard to run the short duration internships. Mainly, we don't know if people will want to invest that much right away after a pandemic. We don't know if they will want to travel. But for more long-term durations, people are already being paid. They're already building a career. So they're being more comfortable to make spendings for this. So in this case, my question would be, what is the possibility of you discovering other target audiences, other durations? If possible, I would say, see how the market goes, see if you can sell this, see if the people from your entity can actually fit what the opportunities are looking for. The other option would be, if you want to keep focusing on that main target audience, then just check the context. First, have a couple of EP interviews, understand their point, understand what's happening with the universities, understand if it's on the timeline, understand if people still want to go for internships during their like winter break, and then understand if they can invest enough money. Like you can just check a couple of your you can tell them about a couple of your IR partners. You can see like if they're willing to travel there, if they have enough money to travel there. Then this customer like research would actually give you what's happening with young people in your entity. And then the other thing would be checking your IR partners, because also the tricky thing over here, we don't know if the companies will want to invest something like short-term interns right now. If you're a company, probably that would be the first thing you cut as an expense, having someone that you will not be able to invest in the long run. So the safest option is check with your IR partner, see like what's happening with their sales process. You can ask them if they already start doing sales. If not, when they will start doing it, then you can actually see if this can work for this peak or not. When it comes to the information about this, as you guys have seen, like we already have an SND tool. We asked MCVPs, currents, and likes before to fill. But then I sent you the same form for you to fill after your MC planning. So this whole idea is about this, to see like which entities are going to prioritize which durations, which entities are going to bring what type of JDs. They will ask for like what kind of people with what kind of work experiences. So we should have this information by IC as well. If it's super complicated for you to edit your goals after IC, then definitely you need to contact your IR partners now and see like what's going to happen with the opportunity supply. And if two things, the market research, customer interviews, and you checking with IR partners is really positive, then go ahead. There should not be anything that is stopping you, because basically you're validating that this can work. But if you have even like one small doubt that people will not want to go, people will not have money to spend, your IR partner might not have an opportunity, then as much as you work on this, start working on something, some other target audience as well. It can be like mid duration, it can be long duration, but it's also not like you have to do it. For this also, if you don't see there's a market interest, if you don't think that people from your entity would be matched, then you can go for other solutions. You can discuss this with your MC and you can see what can be the other type of operations or activities you can run apart if you're not able to run mid duration or long duration GT. Cool? A bit clear? So first step, do a couple of customer interviews, validate it with your EPs. Second step, check with your IR partners, see if they will get the opportunities, and this should give you the answer. All right, let's go a bit faster. I want to know if there is any global digital marketing plan, B2B marketing for new program, GTA and GTE. Ideally, when we already have the B2B program. B2B campaign, which was launched in December, if I'm not wrong. So the only additions will be actually changing the branding and working on the messaging of the new programs, which also will not be too different. So we are trying not to change the campaigns in every couple of months so that actually the campaign, the brand can become something at the end. So you can expect the current campaigns to be updated with the new brands. So for example, with ISEC campaign was a couple of weeks ago, it was updated with plan for later with ISEC. It was a kind of a new tagline. Now you will also see that the same campaign will be updated for IC to be used after IC with the new brand. So the changes will not be too big, but especially with B2B, what I would really recommend is having a global campaign is great. But the messaging of B2B is actually very specific. So you will need to always work on what kind of sentences the companies in your entity, in your country, in your area want to hear. So that message is very specific. And a global campaign doesn't really fit all of the B2B realities most of the time. So you can just check the previous campaign. You can see if it is something that is fitting what you are using as like attraction sentences, your sales pitches, and you can already start this working on how we can adapt it to your market. The other option is if the messaging or the structure of the previous global campaign does not fit your reality at all, then you can already start trying to build your campaign by yourself. Because like what you can expect for the new programs is basically just updated version of the old one. Good. All right. Ezgi, I have two questions regarding the SNDs, as currently we are having an imbalance between the entities in terms of MCs running GT. There's also too much IGT and less OGT. Is there any plans from AI in terms of supporting more entities to start running OGT? Is there any plans to support the cross-regional exchanges to at least try to cover needs? So for your first question, definitely yes. That's why we are also trying to shift our focus to GT mainly. So that's the initial idea, like helping the entities who want to start the product started, or helping the entities who have been struggling with it to help grow. That's the whole initial idea. But OGT is always like a very hard to initiate program, not because it is actually hard, but because mainly we are putting a lot of this like fearful thoughts in our minds. It's hard, we won't be able to do it, we will need to do a lot, but it's actually quite simple when you actually find that one or two areas that you need to focus on. That's what we will try to do. I am not sure if you remember that GT is one of the like AI and regional office network objectives, like the first one. Then that means that for your first question, yes, definitely we will be supporting more the entities who are trying to start the program. And when it comes to your second question, any plans to support cross-regional exchanges to try to cover the needs? Yes and no, because when it comes to GT, the SND of it depends on external factors a lot. It depends on what kind of talents that companies are looking for. So sometimes that's limiting us to assist the SND between the regions. For example, let me give you an example. IGT of Turkey, whenever they have opportunities like business administration, marketing, or sales, those opportunities generally require specific languages. They ask people with Arabic speaking, Portuguese speaking, Russian speaking, or Spanish speaking. The main reason is that they're working with the industries that are doing imports and exports. And they're mainly working with textile industries. So where does textile industry export? They're exporting Russia, they're exporting Brazil, they're exporting to Egypt. So that's why whenever they ask for EPs in those areas, they need native speakers to come and become their account managers. So it's not that they don't want to have EPs from AP, or they don't want to have from like other countries in Latin America, but what asked by companies is very specific. So they're not able to expand it much. But on the other hand, there are, for example, IT opportunities in Germany, which is working mainly prioritizing the skills. So if you already have some IT or engineering EPs with the skills, then you can already make them apply for Germany, because for them, the language would not make any difference, right? So as you see, when it comes to like where can SND move, where you can target, it is somehow very specific. Like you will need to always check what's happening with the top players of other regions. Do they have very specific recommendations about visa? Do they have very specific language or skills recommendations? And how does your entity fit into that? And if you are IGT and if you're looking for OGT also, that's also on you, like what kind of profiles you're looking for. Do you have any visa implications? If not, you will just need to work on start initiating relationships with the entities, start talking about your entity more, start explaining the type of opportunities you have, why they can be attractive to them, and then you can actually start building those. But so yeah, at the moment, I would say if you're OGT, definitely check with your IR partners and see which entities you can actually work or not with, even if it's the entities in the region or outside of the region. And if you're IGT and if you want to work with other entities from different regions, then you need to start building conversations with them. Just an example, when I was MCVP IGT and IG in India, that was my main strategy, convincing OGTs to work with me all around in all the regions. So I had a target of 42 entities, if I'm not wrong. So what I would do mainly, because convincing people to come to India also was not the easiest job. There are a lot of biases biases that people had towards the entity. So then what I did is when I went to IC, when I was having my first IR meetings, I went to them, not telling them, hey, work with India, but my first speech was always develop a position of our opportunities to their people. Why would a person from Brazil should come to an India for a GT experience? Why should a person from Czech Republic should choose to apply to opportunities of India over other entities? So you can also work on this, write down why should they partner with you, why people from those countries, those regions should come to your opportunities. And it's like very simple. It will not take more than 15-20 minutes of you. You will just need to write very unique things, something that will make your opportunities different than other regions, other entities. Then your IR can somehow be successful. Because if you are in the mind of OGT, you will understand that there are a lot of opportunities that people want to do, even outside of ISEC. So the convincing people part is always the hardest. And if you already give OGTs how they can convince their EPs, what it means to have a GT in your entity, then they will reconsider and think how they can work with you better. Cool. So basically, as much as you're trying to be a salesman for the companies, you also need to be a salesman for OGTs. You will need to sell your opportunities to them. You will need to convince them for IR. Lol. All right, let's go. Considering a very probable scenario where there's a good amount of supply EPs, but not a lot of demand from enablers, it will result in the selection criteria further becoming stricter from the enablers. And this in turn will end up increasing the process time, and there's a significant chance of EPs getting rejected for a particular opportunity, and this can happen to quite a lot of EPs. How do we tackle this? I think first thing you can do is always setting expectations with the EPs, because we are not actually promising them that they would be approved 100%. This is very similar to a job market, right? And in the selection processes, they will need to prove themselves a lot. What we offer them as ISEC is helping them have this process somehow faster compared to other job portals. Because when they apply, they generally don't hear back, or they just automatically wait, right? So, and the difference of ISEC is there's someone, an EP manager, who is always somehow helping you in this process, keeping you informed, contacting the IGT site and understanding the answer process time, when they can hear back from company and etc. Or even when submitting the applications, giving some tips to them, saying, hey, you can edit your CV like this, you can add this, giving them some tips about interviews. So ISEC is a very specific role in supporting, but it doesn't mean that people will be finding the opportunities they look 100%. So that would be the first thing, that you can set expectations, that you can always start with an opening speech. Okay, let's not make this an opening speech, but when you move to expectation setting, you can tell them that the amount of opportunities we have are limited. We are here to help you find the right opportunity, but you need to be aware that there will be thousands of applicants in some opportunities. And this is the reality. And as long as you set the expectations, at the end of the day, if they're rejected, they will be like, oh, okay, they told me about this anyway. And they're not paying in open anymore. So that's also won't be a problem. When I was a team leader in my LC, EPs would pay in open, and then they would pay in approval. They would apply, they would pay for open, but they wouldn't get approved. We would tell them no more money back, but they would cry, and then we would have to refund everyone. So now we're not in those years anymore. We're in years that everything is open. So I think that's the best benefit. So as long as you set the expectations, that would be good. The second type of setting expectations is checking the experience needed. I think this is one of the things why EPs are getting rejected a lot, that they don't have the type of work experience that the companies are looking for, especially for the long duration opportunities. So before finalizing your target audience, check this thing with your IR partners as well. So when you attract people, actually, you attract the type of people that are qualified enough. And at the end of the day, the more qualified people you get, the more sales cycle this also creates for IGT. What do I mean with that? You have a really good EP, but the EP is not selected for IGT. Probably there was someone slightly better. But then, because you already have this good CV, good person, this would encourage IGTs to take that example CV, go to their possible companies, and try to directly sell that person. But these kind of things, these kind of examples where IGTs are selling specific CVs because they're good, it's happening only if the EP is really good. So that's where it comes, like importance of target audience in OGT, and the type of people you get as signups, and the type of prioritization you make. So as long as you get the right people with the right experiences that the opportunities are asking, then even if they are rejected in the first couple of opportunities that they applied, you can find IGTs who can get specific opportunities only for those people. Cool. Amazing. Yeah, okay. I think, yeah, that was the last question I answered. Any more questions? I think, I don't know, maybe in IC I should tell my horrifying stories about OGIP. So then in this current state, people will be like very relieved, that because it's very horrible. It was horrible, guys. Like what we have right now is paradise. We know that it's like hard, but like, believe me, if I'm calling this situation paradise, it was that bad, very bad. It was horrible. Maybe I can already tell, because I mean, people are not writing questions. So I'm waiting for questions still. You can write it there. Okay, there's questions. Then I will tell the OGIP story. Okay, what are some examples of value propositions for IGT that would interest companies and interest them even during this pandemic? I do have a good understanding of what our value propositions normally are for IGT, but it becomes a bit difficult to sell them in circumstances. If we should conduct research for it, what method do you suggest? So from the global setting, like what I see, what can be the value proposition is, I see that there are a lot of companies with like online services, delivery services, or even like things like food production or pharmaceutical production or cosmetics, cleanings products production. Those companies are growing. But then you can understand what kind of talents they need. So it goes two ways. You can always try to play safe and work with the companies that need somehow international account managers. They can be in the areas like customer support, sales, or marketing. So you can see like if they need any native speakers other than your country's or area's language. So then you can try to sell them these like marketing or sales positions, promising that people with the native languages will come help you improve your operations, your account manager. So that means at the end of the day, you're getting more happier customers for the company, of course. Company gets happier customers or improves their sales results. That's one. The other thing is IT. Which is a bit tricky. I will tell you also why. Because right now a lot of companies are improving their online services. Even if the ones who didn't have any online services, they're trying to create online services. This area needs a lot of talents. But the tricky part is IT talent is one of the weakest links of ISEC. The reason is because the talent is scarce, whenever we find these type of people in our universities, they are already getting somehow good opportunities. They're already receiving a lot of good paid opportunities. Then why would this person go to an ISEC opportunity to be paid in an average minimum salary? So there where it comes, what you're going to propose to your OGTs. Are you going to propose maybe the companies you're getting are very good, that it works working them a bit underpaid for a while, because at the end of the day, the experience will be very good. For example, who asked this question? Was it Pakistan? Yeah. Let's say that you crack the deal with IBM Pakistan. They would come and work for IBM no matter they pay. But if you just put a small company paying like average, then I would question, yeah, the company definitely will want that IT talent, but will you be able to actually find that EP? So then I think when it comes to conducting that external research, check the job portals you have right now. LinkedIn also works somehow, but it depends on like how you're seeing your IHT sales. Are you going to do in the local level? Are you going to do it in the MC level? If you will also do it in MC level, you can look at mostly multinational companies and see what kind of jobs they're posting right now, especially in your country. Check which industries are growing. Because also now that the borders are slightly opening, a lot of manufacturers that have been doing exports, they're also reopening. So you can check what's happening with your industries, and then you can see what can you actually offer. What do you have? And when it comes to like defining what do you have, play it safe and start with your IR partners. What do you have from your IR partners? What is the background of people? What are the experiences? What are the languages? Why would a company want that? So you can then map it out, but my recommendation would be check the job portals to see the type of opportunities, and check some economical reports to see like which industries have been growing in job employment. You can just write, I think, growing jobs in your native language and just search for it, growing jobs in your country, and then growing industries in your country. And then you would basically have some kind of an idea which industries you can tackle. Then the other thing, like easiest thing to do research, is talking to some alumni who was in that industry and quickly learning from them what was happening with the employees. Were they being fired, laid off, or hired more people in certain departments? Then you can actually learn. Cool. There's always an opportunity, even in pandemics, guys, always. All right, what should be the roadmap to 2025 for entities which start to run GT in this term, and what are the things need to focus in them? Okay, I got the question. I don't know why I'm not able to read. So I don't know what the roadmap can look in 2025, because that was also the reason why we're not going to launch the roadmap projects in this IC, because the context is very different, right? And probably it's not going to be the same next year. So we don't want to put projects for the next 5 years when we don't know, like when we have no clue how the world will look like in 3 months. So that's why this part of the ISEC 2025 was suspended. But what you will see in IC and what your MCPs already received is the statements, which can give you an idea what kind of roadmap you can have for your entity. So we have 3 statements. One is about leadership. That leadership is at our core. All the experiences we provide, let it be membership or MC experience or exchange programs, all of them should provide a measurable leadership measurable impact. So that's one. The second one is sustainability. Whatever we do, they need to happen in sustainable practices. And this is also not about the finances. This is even about your transition, that information, sustainability of information is also a thing that we're not super successful at all, but this is the second statement. And the third one is the partnerships, making sure that all the partners we have is happy, they're being sustained throughout. So what all of these things means that the first thing you do, whatever you do, it needs to be about leadership and providing experiences for the young people, right? And the second one is, we said, sustainability. And third one is, our main customer is youth, but without partners, we cannot host opportunities for youth. So that means we, as IGTs, for example, we really need to spend time understanding how to set good expectations with the companies, how to fulfill those expectations, how to train our members so they will know how to deal with partners. So there are even those small things that they will help you create a culture. So then what I would recommend is that by 2025, your entity can have a culture, a working style, a situation where your partners are happy, where you are retaining your partners are helping you host more opportunities, and at the same time, you're providing good quality leadership experiences for your EPs. But I don't know how this would look like in project sense. I don't know if you would have 5 new innovation programs, figuring out, I don't know, virtual reality internships, maybe something else, who knows? Maybe there will be different work fields than now, because for example, right now we have only 6, but maybe the roadmap will say that by 2025, we're gonna have 20 work fields and we're not gonna have 6 anymore. So maybe we will start discovering areas like law, medicine, I don't know, something else that we didn't do. But the only thing I can say is that I don't know right now. I don't know how the roadmap projects will look like, but I can recommend you for your 2021 term. If you are IGT, always put sustainability and the happiness of partners within your strategies. Because if you keep losing your IGT partners, that's the hardest and worst thing that you can do, because the new sales is not an easy thing. And managing your accounts, retaining them, reopening opportunities, that's always the easiest part of keeping IGT alive in the entities. So keep this in mind. And if you're OGT, then it can go 2 ways. Were you running OGT before? You were not running OGT before. So if you were not running OGT before this term, then your projects can be about establishing a culture, making sure that you are having like sustainable marketing practices, because this might also go very wrong, that you invest a lot and you get the wrong target audience, and then at the end of the day, your signups are not being converted to applicants, and applicants are being rejected. So basically, establishing a culture of marketing and EP management for OGT, and then if you have been running OGT, and then seeing if you can discover other duration types, if you can discover other work fields. Cool. Good. How long remote future will be valid for exchanges? Okay, let me re-ask this. Are you asking if the remote feature will be there forever? Or are you asking the specifics of the remote feature? Like, is it like 3 months, 4 months? So if you can clarify. I mean, I think I can answer both of them. So right now, what is being tested in remote feature is that it is being 3 months in a certain set of minimum durations. But this might somehow change, because throughout the testing also we are getting a lot of feedbacks. We are seeing like what can actually happen with what can actually work with the future. But when it comes to how long the future will be alive in ISEC, so that depends on the testing. So if the testing shows us that this somehow works, this is not an extreme burden for ISEC, this can be really valuable for the EPs, this can be really valuable for the companies, then this thing will go in XPP. This thing will go in our programs portfolio, and the future will stay. Because if we can prove that it is valid, it can be solutions for more than a pandemic as well. Because consider a lot of situations where EPs were not being approved from your countries because the visa takes 3 or 4 months. So then with remote feature, we can still make those talents attractive to the companies by just offering that, hey, they won't be realized in 2 weeks, but while you're processing their visa, you can still get that person from that country, and we can somehow help OGTs. So this can be also future, if it works, something helping OGTs break the barrier of visa for a GT. It might happen. But all of these things, they depend on testing and how actually companies are reacting to the future. Cool. All right, we can ask more questions. I think I finished the questions. Yes. Okay, the OGIP story. So the expo, you know, right now, although like it's not being liked a lot, but I was team leader in 2014, and by the end of the year, I was selected as I was team leader IGT, then I was selected as team leader OGIP. But then what happened is that in November, they changed our platforms. So I don't know how many of you were in ISEC before. I don't know, maybe none. myisec.net was there. So in myisec.net, how things would work is EPs were not allowed to apply for opportunities, okay? Like if you apply, you are gone. Your profile is suspended. So you were not allowed to apply. So then the entire process is that we get signups, registrations, we do interviews, we do English and normal interviews with the EPs before they registering them in the website. Then when they pass the interviews, they pay half of their fee. And then EP managers offer them IR opportunities. And again, they're not allowed to apply, okay? EPs are super being scared that, hey, if you apply, your profile is gonna be suspended and you won't be able to apply to anything for the next 2 weeks. So it's hard things. So then EPs are only applying to IR opportunities. They're being like approved only with AR. It's like a very imaginational world. And then when they're approved, they're paying the rest of their fee. But then what happens? November, the platform changes. The platform changes with the idea of today that it's an open platform. Nobody pays an open. They're allowed to apply all the opportunities. They're allowed to see all the opportunities. The customer is the one who makes the final choice. ISEC doesn't push anything. And then EPs pay only in approval. So the idea is great. But in practice, the first couple of months, I have never seen anything like this before in my life. First, platform did not work, okay? People could not sign up. IGTs could not open opportunities. It was just suspended. That's why, like, if you ever talk to your predecessors, you will know that the 2014 data is distorted. The last 2 months that is not there. It's just not there. So basically, the entire organization did everything offline for 3 months. For 3 months, we did approvals in spreadsheets, guys. Like if there was an approval, it was in a spreadsheet. It was not in Expa. And then I became IGT to OGT, right? And I don't know any shit. And I'm trying to learn. Like I'm trying to learn how IR works, how things are working. But EPs are applying everywhere, and I'm not able to stop them. Like there is a person who graduated from a very random department and does not have a working experience, and the person is trying to apply for Germany. And I'm just trying to talk through, hey, listen, look at the opportunity requirements. You just don't fit. Let's find you another opportunity somewhere else. And then EP is like, no, I will just apply for it. It's open for me to apply, right? I'm like, fuck you. It became a point where OGT was extremely successful. It jumped into a point where you have 1,000 of signups in a week. Only 3 of them are able to apply because the platform is not working. And then only 1 of them are being somehow processed. There is nothing like applications pages, by the way. You don't see anything. You don't see where your EP is applied, okay? You don't see it. You own, like everything becomes a full list and you're not able to filter anything. You will need to go down and down and down and down to see where your people applied. There is no like IR measurement at all. Like you are asking your IR partner, hey, did any of my EPs apply to your opportunity? It was horrible. Like nothing is working again and again. And what they did is somehow the platform went better, but it was like, oh my God, like imagine a situation where you're changing the platforms and it's actually not working. Like it's not working in a level that people cannot sign up, People cannot apply. IGT cannot see the opportunities. No one is not, approve button is not working. So, and it's like this for like months, not like 1 day or 6 hours. It's there for like 3 months like this. It was horrible. But the most horrible part is the financial model. So previously it was very successful because you would only make people sign up if you're sure that they might have a shot, right? And then they would pay an approval, so people are somehow happy. But now with the situation, when you open it up and approvals dropped a lot because IR management was like very bad in the first year. And then because also the thing is, when we said, hey, open platform, the idea of IR disappeared in people's minds. So this also fucked us all over. So with the financial model also, the entities struggle a lot. And Turkey was not the only one. Almost all the entities, they struggled a lot because they had to charge now in full approval and not in open, and then approvals were not coming at all. So yeah, like always comparing those times and comparing these times, this is paradise. At least we have something working, and we just need to work on communication with the market, understanding the market, and really trying to understand sales. I think this entire pandemic is, it's like a big case study for us about how to do sales. It's like all of us are being put in a room. We are explaining the situation, and we really need to work on our sales pitches. We need to work on understanding and reading the market. But it's like a case study. It's like a horrible situation. But when it comes to your work life, it's like a case study that you need to crack as something new. And also, like after your MC experiences, make sure that you use this entire situation. It's not an easy thing that you do. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna change a lot. Make sure that you use this, okay? I have more studies, more stories. My biggest learning from my LCBP term was IR, literally IR, because I was in this ideology that, hey, we open the platform, we make everything digital, we send emails and SMSs to our EPs, we just guide them, we just tell them about the platform and type of opportunities, and we let them apply. Then we send them support documents for applications and CVs and this, and they will do it. No, they did shit. And for 6 months, no approvals, nothing, zero. And after 6 months, I lost it. My ideology changed from this to this. And I was like, who are my partners? My partners are India, Indonesia, Egypt, Romania. Done. Whenever we call signups, we ask them these 4 countries. Do you want to go to any of these countries? Like, would you be interested in? When they say no, okay, we'll call you later. And we never call them. We send them still emails. We send them like how to apply to opportunities. But I was like very scary to my members, telling them, you don't spend your time in an EP who says you for sure that they're not gonna go to India. Because it was like me becoming one side too extreme, not doing anything about IR, and the other side, another extreme, doing only IR. But it worked. We really got only people who were interested in my IR partners, and then we were only processing them. So they were approved at the end. And I ended up bringing money to the LC. So somehow it worked. Okay, we have some more minutes. So if you have questions, still you can post. Oh, by the way, funniest thing is GE launch. I already made fun of this in IPM, but it was like really bad. It was really bad, guys. It appeared like out of nowhere. And then in platform, it was not a separate product, okay? There was not even an option for it. Guess how we were finding the GE opportunities? Like, so IGAs, they would put global entrepreneur in their opportunity name, or they wouldn't put it, they would just put their project name, like for example, Venture Brazil. And then as VP, you would go to opportunities portal, the same as your EPs, and you would just search for global entrepreneur, or you would look for the project name if you know it. And in Expo also, like there's no way to track, you know, in your head how much approval you got. So in the last couple of years, like the my successors from my LC, they were always writing me about like things about the results of my LC term, like what happened. And they were always coming to me like, oh, so you did this much in GE, this much in GE. I was like, no, let me send you the actual report. And it's like extremely different. They put the GEs that I made under GT and GTs look like GE. It's like, what? So yeah, like that's why like when you look in any historical data, 2015 GE data is like incorrect, the most incorrect thing ever in this entire organization. But yeah, like we were in a bad situation. We were like nothing was there. So right now, at least for example, for remote future, we are immediately getting tags for them. So we are getting a search button that will come. Like wow, it's like new. Data is very important. Data is very important. It was dark times. It was very dark times. I appreciate the current state now a lot. Like, yeah, we still have time. You can ask any questions. Just think again, like when you go, before you go to your planning, anything that is still a big question mark for you, you can ask it here. All right, I don't see any questions. Then maybe we can slowly close the space. So the only like main message I want to give you is that I know that it somehow feels very hard, but the moment you figure out the right strategy, right way for your entity, it's going to be extremely easy. GT overall seems like very complicated, very hard to convince people, but it's all about finding that right sentence, finding that right area. And when you do it, it becomes like super, super simple. It's not that, for example, top IGT entities have the smartest members, smartest people on earth, but they found the right thing. They found the right industries to focus on. They found the right pitch for their people. Even for OGTs, like it's not that the top OGTs have all the money in the world to do the best marketing strategies ever. It's not that they have the best EP managers. It's that they have the right focus. They just found the right area to invest in. You will just need to figure this out for your entity. My biggest recommendation would always be like, be realistic. Do not try to do everything in your term. Really understand what you can do and what you can do successfully. Do not overestimate your capacity. I'm not saying this from a negative perspective, but like be realistic about what you can do and what you cannot do. If you put too much on your plate, then you will end up not even doing the things that you will be like super successful in almost setting. We have one more question. Amazing. What would you suggest in case of the entities drop in GV by the focus shifted to GE and can't run to GT soon? Maybe could be started in the next term. It depends. First, I would really recommend that do you really, like according to the GB analysis that you will make, do you really need to drop it for the entire term, or do you need to drop it maybe like the first semester? Like what is the exact reason behind that? And the other options would be like either checking how much GT can be possible to run soon. What are the things that are stopping you? They are dated things that can be solved in the near future. If not, you can just check like what are the other options, like running maybe online events, maybe trying to see like other partnerships. Like it can be an online events for members, it can be online events for For externals, global leadership can be, for example, one of the experiences. So basically, through running one of the BD programs, you can try to focus on that area to bring the financial resources. But it totally depends on like which ones in your entity are being run, and also the context. Like, for example, what's happening with the COVID-19 situation in your country. Are the events being allowed? If you want to do an event online, would it work, or can you do an offline one? Can you bring companies? Because I think one thing now would be still relevant for companies in your areas is that they will want to meet young people, and they were disconnected from them for a really long time. So as long as the safety measures are there, and in your country the things are going good, and you can have also like the physical touch points, you can also look into this, because or it can be still online, it doesn't matter. But I think there will be still need for companies wanting to meet the young people. So if it's not one of the exchange programs, if it's not GV, if it's not GT, then you will want to figure out what can you get from the BD portfolio and run it in your entity for the next 6 months. What should LC at this moment in order to prepare for pre-launching? All right. I think right now, exactly right now, what LCs should do, it depends on what kind of timeline your entity is following right now. Like if you started attraction already, then they should be also doing attraction with you. If you will start attraction like next month, then you should be onboarding them now. And when it comes to the new programs launch, it really depends on which kind of attraction consideration timeline that you will want to follow. So if you already started, they should be also doing them. But if you will start after the launch, then right now you should be basically training them. And training them is not like, hey, let me do you some Zoom presentation and goodbye, but actually make them practice make them practice talking to the companies, make them practice convincing the EPs. You can create really good learning environment where you can bring them in a Zoom group, and then you can put them in breakout rooms, and you can try to make them use the sales pitches. So make them practice right now if you haven't already started the operations, because the best thing you can do is to prepare your LCs. Prepare your LCs to communicate with the customers. Prepare your LCs to be able to pitch our programs. Prepare your LCs to really understand what's going on. But yeah, overall, when we look at the timeline, what we recommended was to do the re-raises for IGT until the official launch, but it's not like a deadline. So you can still do re-raises after the official launch as well. And ideally, after the official launch, you start your new sales. So then what you need to figure out also, what is your target audience for new sales in IGT? Similar for OGT, actually. Like, what is your target audience? Which university, which backgrounds, which study levels are you targeting? And in IGT, like which industries are you targeting? What is the point of contact that you want to gather like from these countries? It's because it's not like telling your LCs, hey, we're focusing on startups and go do whatever you want, but you really need to train them about, hey, what does it mean to focus on startups? Which type of startups that you recommend them to focus on? When they're researching startups, who they should contact. Is it the founder? Is it X? Is it Y? Is it Z in that company? So you can prepare, and like at the end of the day, you can just prepare your LCs, prepare them to sell, prepare them to run the operations. And you can just like be very honest with them, ask them what they need, because they also have been somehow trying to do operations, even in January and February, and especially in AP, it was already a big issue. COVID-19 was already a big issue back then. So they somehow know how people are reacting. So ask your LCs how they're feeling, what they need, what additional support they need for the things to work after the launch, and then you will have your answers from them. But yeah, I would say first look at your entity timeline, what you want to do in these months, and then make sure that your LCs are prepared. All right, I am done. Yeah, what was I saying overall? So yeah, take care of yourselves. It might sound like hard, very like difficult to run it, but find that one focus area. Make sure that you really go for the wins and you're not getting lost in between. And even if you get lost, it is fine. It's fine as long as you really snap out of it and try to figure out a new way. If you focus on something wrong or you get stuck in your projects, it is fine. It is fine. It's all about the moment that you realize it's not going right and you try fixing it. And always trust yourselves, always trust people around you. If GT works, it works because people are trying to make it work. We will be always here to support you. Phidias will be here, Connie will be here, I will be here. We will make sure that we are going through this experience with you, and GT is becoming alive again.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Eski. So to end, before we end this space, like how about let's open our camera and take a photo. So AP with Eski, yeah. So yeah, and also Eski, thank you so much. Like you wake up so early in the morning. It was like 7 a.m. I guess in Canada, and like thanks for coming to consultancy. And by the way, like to let you guys know, like Eski is very busy every day. Like she work very hard from morning to the night. We meeting, we always mention about it. Like, but really appreciate that you spend time with AP and also come and answer our question as well. And your sharing is really thoughtful, and I hope everyone feel the same as well. Okay, so for guys, like let's open our camera and let's yeah, take a picture together. Yeah, Hansan, Adri, Yola, Win. Okay, you missed too. I hope you. Okay, amazing. I see Hansana. Okay, yeah, girls, if you want to take care of your hair, you can do it right now. That's how usually we do for Amy. Okay, amazing. I hope everyone have turned on the camera already. So I will count in 3. Okay, and let's have a cheese. Okay. Hey, GT gesture, what is that? Oh, okay. Like this, right? Okay, yeah, amazing, guys. So, okay.
This looks like I need a break.
Yeah, okay. I don't have a hand for that, so I will just like this now. Okay. So, I will count in 3. 3, 2, 1. Cheers! Yeah, one more. 1, 2, 3. Cheers! Yay! Amazing! Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Eski, for coming to AP. We hope that there will be one day you really come to AP and let's eat noodles together. Yeah.
Thank you, Eski.
Yeah, until COVID-19 happened, I was literally begging Shomei to bring me to AP to one of the conferences. I was begging her. I was gonna come to AP. I was gonna come to MCP Summit.
Yeah. Oh, I hope like we will see you very soon after COVID-19, I guess. Yeah. So please come, and yeah. That's all for today.
People.
Everyone. So yeah. Connie, do you have anything you want me to say?
I don't know. I think I was stuck in the last part. I don't know what is happening now. But I think yeah, it's finishing right. So thank you.
All right,
and
guys.
thank you everyone for attending this consultancy space. And then I think your questions are very valuable, because this also tells us that what we can support you in the next few months. So yeah, thank you so much. And then tomorrow will be very heavy day for you, because it's all about pre-attraction, attraction strategies, and a lot of strategies. So and then also remember the case which we sent 2 days ago. So make sure you read that. Yeah, that's all from today. I'm not so sure if am I still in this meeting?
Yes. Amazing. So
All right, I'm going, guys.
yeah, see you.
I don't know. I think I stopped.
Do feedback
Okay.
form as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. See you. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye. See you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Phidias and Connie. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Ali. Bye. Avan.
Thank you, Serafina, as well.
Oh yeah, our best tech guy in the house. Lamau. Lamau.
Mandu, don't let me see Travis Lee again, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, slap him, slap him.
Okay.
No, I just now in the
Consider it as
breakout room,
done.
and then prophecy suddenly came out, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's scary.
Consider
Okay,
it
bye.
done.
Oh, we have 2 Yola in the house.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. How to end? Host, can
Anna.
okay, can. Yeah, we done. And remember to
係咪要 call 你 I need to call you for the
dry run 啊嘛。Did you book it?
did it? Yeah, I book it. I think it's now.
哦，係咪？Like let's go Google Meet then.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.